Hi, my name is Kim, and I welcome you to our dark moon ritual of Samhain, the thinning of the veil and honour of our ancestors, and those that have passed. May this be a celebration, a contemplation to the honour that they have given us. Please ensure you have a candle, a journal, and a pen with you. And I will hand you over to my sisters who will cast the circle today.
So I'm going to ask the elements to protect us and to watch over our ritual tonight. Powers of the air, we greet you. By the air that is her sweet breath, send forth your light. Be here now. Powers of fire, we greet you. By the fire that is her bright spirit, send forth your flame. Be here now. Powers of water, we greet you. By the waters of her living womb, send forth your flow. Be here now. Powers of the earth, we greet you. By the earth that is her body, send forth your strength. Be here now. As above, so below. Our circle is now cast, and we stand together in sacred space, in perfect love and perfect trust. So mote it be. Blessed be.
I invite you to close your eyes. Feel into the space that you occupy. Notice the rhythm of your breath. Just observe it, do not change it. Feel the rhythm of your body. With every outward breath, begin to feel your body relaxing. Take a few seconds and allow the energy to settle. For it's time to let go of the mundane world and shift into the liminal. Let your roots descend from the soles of your feet into the damp Mother Earth. As they descend deep and deep into her body, and at the same time are spreading out like tendrils, like the canopy of the mighty oak. They're forming a web and connecting with your sisters and your brothers, with their roots. They are beginning to connect and entwine, forming a delicate yet powerful web of light and love, pulsating with the Earth Goddess's energy. Feel the energy rise. The web spreads and it covers the whole earth like a gossamer blanket. Pause and breathe into that web. Feel the energy, her energy rising. Feel the energy rising in you and connecting you to the earth, grounding you in her energy and her love. Mother Earth's energy will travel through the web, up into each of your bodies and into your heart space. Feel the love and the warmth that's filling your heart space, and let it flow throughout your whole body, warming, connecting, and settling in your heart space. Feel into this energy. Feel the joy and the love spreads throughout your body. And now you see that web rising up into the dark abyss, enveloping the moon, the sun, the planets and the stars, the whole universe. Your tendrils reach out. They reach out to your mother star, connecting with her. The star energy flows along your tendrils and back into your body. It also flows into the whole web, lighting up, shining like trillions of tiny diamonds pulsating with the star energy. You feel connected to your star and to the web before you. Feel the star goddess energy enter your body and settle in your heart space, mingling with the earth's energy. Breathe it in. Sit with it for a few seconds, feeling it in every cell of your very being. Feel the energy, that love that fills your whole body. For you are now connected with what is above as what is below. The web of connection throws its love out to the world, to the forests, the trees, the beings, the animals, the people. Let that love travel out to where it's needed most. And then before your eyes, the web of connection begins to gently fade into the liminal, just a breath away. Now bring your attention to your feet. Feel the sensation of your socks, your shoes, the ground you rest your feet upon. Notice how your bottom, your back, your arms feel supported where you rest. And begin to gently wriggle your fingers and your toes, bringing your attention to the sensations of your own body. For you are now grounded and centered. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Blessed be.
Please turn with me in your mind's eye to the northwest. Croeso Cerridwen, initiatrix, mistress of transformation. We dive into the velvety black stillness of this season. We feel the thinning of the veil. We seek to reach beyond it, to connect. And we rest in the cauldron, quiet, dark, and still for now. And in the silence, we call to you from our hearts. We seek your wisdom and your guidance. Please help us learn and grow, and with your magical powers of alchemy, help us to transform, so that we can shine for you and for the world at the dark times and in the light to come. We breathe your transformative energy in. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen, initiatrix, mistress of transformation. We bring your energy to the centre with gratitude. Blessed be.
And in your mind's eye, please turn with me to the northeast. Croeso, Cerridwen Sunraig, Lady of Healing, as we walk the lanes and the paths into the woods, we know there is still medicine to be found from the earth, from trees, from roots, through the mycelium paths. Your crane bag holds many mysteries, and even in death, your healing is needed. Help us to see the bigger picture, when to hold on and when to let go. We breathe your healing energy in with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen Sunraig. And we bring you into our center. Blessed be.
In your mind's eye, please turn with me to the southeast. Croeso Cerridwen Callan o Gariad, our beloved heart of love. She who patiently holds space for us as we go inward at this time of year. And as she invites us to look into our dark mirror, we trust that we are safe in her love as we travel to our true selves and meet the good and bad with compassion. We call on you tonight as we come together as sisters and brothers and in the presence of our ancestors, that we may love and care for each other, as well as taking this time for self-care. So when we go out into the world in your name, we do so truly replenished and with an open heart. We breathe your energy in. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen Callan o Gariad. And we take your energy back to the center.
Please turn your mind's eye to southwest. Croeso, Cerridwen, Creatrix, Dark Mother, we are your children from your deep cauldron. We were born into this world to receive guidance through you and to reach the light what you radiate. We sing magical songs and read the heartfelt poems you have given us to honor you. All beautiful words and melodies nourish our soul, body, and spirit. You are abundant mother who shares her wisdom with us, shows the path to ours through her Son. Dark Mother, your eyes see behind the veil of unknown. You show how to create from invisibility and how to trust the inner spark. We breathe your nurturing energy in with gratitude. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen, Dark Mother of us all. And turn your energy to the center. Blessed be.
And now in your mind's eye, please turn with me into the center. Croeso, Cerridwen, Lady of the Cauldron, Dark Mother, known with 1,000 names and yet unknown. You who live beyond the veil, Lady of Unknown, Keeper of the mysteries of otherworld, we call the blessings of your womb, your dark cauldron of transformation. Be by our side while we face all the shadows that are rising from within, as we descend into your sacred darkness, changing our skin like the snake. We breathe your powerful energy in. Hail and welcome, Cerridwen, mistress of magic and mystery. And we bring the energy into our center. Blessed be.
Well, it's my great joy to speak to you tonight about Halloween or Samhain traditions and from the Celtic lands. And because, as you've probably guessed, I'm Scottish, I'm mostly going to be talking about Scotland. For this, when I actually came to think about it, I realised that a lot of the traditions that I was used to thinking about, I didn't really know the roots of them. And I went to the place where I always go to find the roots, and that is this resource. And I'll put the name of it in the chat after this part of the ritual. But it was called Kistorichis or Tober and Dúlchais, and it's a Scottish and Gaelic resource that is available through the School of Scottish Studies at Edinburgh University, and it collects, or it has collected over time, all of the traditions, all of the songs and the stories, and just all of the riches really of the oral tradition in Scotland that have been gathered over time by the folk collectors from the early 20th century onwards, and they've actually put them online, so you can hear the people's voices. And I think that's one of the most important things really about traditions. It's when you hear it from the voices who lived this. It's the living tradition. It's the carrying stream, as it's called by the folk collector Hamish Henderson. And you hear the voices of the old women and the old men and some of the younger people as well in these recordings. It just makes it so much more special. So I had a look at them, and the traditions of Samhain seem to celebrate this liminal time with divination, mischief, and, as we have in Scotland, guising, which is the Scottish version of going from house to house trick-or-treating. Interestingly, I think, particularly as we go into the dark half of the year, there's this sense of needing to know what is going to happen. There's, I suppose, a little bit of fear involved as well. And I think that's where the divination comes through. And a lot of the divination seems to be surrounding who you're going to marry, or how many children you're going to have, that sort of thing. And I suppose that is part of it. You know, if you're in a community where marriage is, or was, important as a way of having the security, that would be quite a big deal. So one of the ways that it was done back in particularly in the Highlands would be they would throw nuts on, and this would be the women normally would throw the nuts onto the fire, and you could make wishes if they cracked. The girls would put nut shells in the fire, one for themselves and one for their sweethearts, and if they burned together, it meant that they would marry. On the island of Tiree, they would make a dish of oatmeal and cream, and several items such as a ring and a button would be put into the mixture, and each of the items foretold a different thing if it ended up on your spoon. So a bit like the dumpling, actually, that you sometimes get at New Year. My gran used to put, charms in the dumpling. So that's how I imagine it anyway. I think it sounds a bit like that. Another custom recorded in Shetland involved a girl drying her wet garments or a shirt or something, or a nightshirt, at the fire. And if a man appeared to turn the garment, he would be her future husband. And if a form of a coffin appeared, it would probably mean that she would die a spinster. So you wouldn't want the coffin appearing. But it wasn't just, I was actually quite relieved to know it's not just the girls that were worried about that sort of thing. The boys appear to have been quite concerned about marriage and all that kind of thing too, because they, in Shetland, they would seek out an old woman in the community with known abilities, and they would get her to cast a glass, and she would half fill a wine glass with water, and she would crack an egg into it, saying, "An egg I crack in 3, an egg I brack in 3, an egg I drap in 3. Let so-and-so, his wife and bairns to see." And if it would depend how many bubbles would rise to the surface would depend on, your future wife and how many children you were going to have. So that sort of thing. And I love these simple rituals because it wasn't about fancy equipment. It was about what they had around the house. So that, and I suppose that's really what makes folk custom and folk witchcraft really still so potent. It's, it's what you do with what you have. One thing that seems to have come up a lot in the records, and I was very pleased to see this as well, was a preoccupation with root vegetables. Now, bear with me here, and not just root vegetables, but any kind of vegetables. And again, I think it was what they had lying around, what was still around at this time of year as they would go into the dark half of the year and the harvest would be coming to a close. So I was really tickled actually to know that part of the mischief, the mischief making, the guising and things like that, the guisers would go out and they would throw turnips up through the roof of the houses so that they would come down through the roof and land on the fire in someone's house. That conjures up all sorts of things for me. And that would be the black houses in places like the Isle of Lewis. So the chimney that would often be in the middle of the houses. So you'd be sitting around the fire and a turnip would just come down your chimney. Other vegetables too, though. Gangs would go out on Halloween and throw kale through the doorways of houses and then run away. And there was also a story about girls pulling cabbages from the ground and telling from the roots, again, what kind of husband they would marry. So, but my favourite tradition of all is the Tumshi lantern. And I would like to introduce you to this little fellow here. I hope this isn't going to go wrong because this Tumshi, this turnip lantern, has seen better days. He was made just before Samhain, so he's going a little bit rotten at this point. Doesn't smell too bad actually. I'm going to try and light him, but this could all go. I might light him and then blow him out in a minute. There he is. There's the Tumshi. There's the Tumshi lantern. And I actually have to admit that growing up in the 80s as a child, we still used Tumshis at that point. Pumpkins hadn't quite come into fashion for us at that point. And I think the end result of a Tumshi lantern is probably more terrifying than the pumpkins. And that's because they remind me of the old, they remind me of little whiskery faces, but also they also have that look about them of if anyone's ever read the classical writers talking about the Celts, they would always talk about the shrunken heads, when they decapitated their enemies, and they would keep the heads and they would have shrunk, and they would keep them on their doorways and that's what these Tumshi lanterns remind me of. And I don't know if I've done my best to try and research the origins of the Tumshi lantern. I've heard lots of things about the jack-o'-lantern in Ireland, Stingy Jack in Irish tradition, who attempted to outwit the devil. And the lanterns are believed to ward off spirits as well that may be abroad or out on Samhain. I'm not really sure, to be honest. No one really knows where they came from, but for all the purists out there who are always saying, and I hear this a lot, oh, you've got to have your turnip lantern, you've got to have your Tumshi rather than a pumpkin. They're an import. Well, actually, the Tumshi didn't come into Scotland or to Britain until the 17th century. And they think before the Tumshi lantern, people carved other vegetables before that. So they're not actually as old as I thought they were. But anyway, this year I decided to adapt my thoughts on the humble Tumshi lantern. And I really got thinking about what it all means. It's off the earth. It's spent a good amount of time. It's in the roots, in the darkness of the earth. And it's in the rich soil. It's been brought out into the world. And there's something quite powerful about it, growing among the roots and the shoots. It's part of the ground where our ancestors walked and where many have now returned. And we can be frightened or a bit disturbed about that. I made a lantern one year when I was doing my Celtic degree, and we were all into these traditions, and we used to have these amazing student Samhain parties in the department. And we left my Tumshi lantern up in the corner of the class library, this lovely little departmental library with all the dusty books. We forgot about it. And I had gone particularly, I'd tried particularly hard that year to make it a good one. And I had put little marbles in the eye sockets. And I'd forgotten about it for weeks, actually, probably months. It was January, I think. And I was sitting in the library one day taking notes, and I heard this noise across the room, and the Tumshi lantern had shrunk so much that it had pushed the marbles out and shot them across the room. It was a dark January day. I have never been more terrified. I didn't know what happened. But anyway, these lanterns can be frightening and a bit disturbing. And I suppose we can be frightened or a bit disturbed about, these little creatures that we embrace at this time of year at Samhain, in all their messy and slightly less appealing glory. And actually, I suppose it reminds me a bit of myself in that way, a bit messy, a bit, I've got a lot of work to do on myself, that kind of thing. And just as we slowly scrape the layers of the Tumshi, and I don't know if anyone's ever tried to make a Tumshi lantern, it's a lot harder than a pumpkin one. You really do have to scrape the layers over and over again. If you're really hardcore, you do it with a spoon. And, we dig deep into ourselves at this time of year as well, revealing more and more of who we are. And this shadow work is not always pretty, but like the candle in the Tumshi, we are lit up inside when we do it, when we do that shadow work. And we are part of the darkness on those nights, in all that brightness, that darkness and that brightness. We can exist as both. So this Samhain, and I have to say in Celtic tradition, in the Gaelic particularly, Samhain means the whole month of November. So if you haven't carved a Tumshi, there's still time. You can go out and get one. My husband, I only found out recently, he was really hardcore. They used to grow theirs in the garden and then carve them. But I think they're making them smaller these days. They used to have much bigger ones in the supermarkets. But I would say that there's still time to go out and get one. And it can still be part of your magical working as the month wears on. And like all our shadow work, what we find inside us can be put to use, can be reused in different ways. So I have frozen the innards of this fellow here, and they're going into the soup pot later on in the month to be made anew into something tasty, hopefully. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed these Scottish Samhain traditions tonight. Blessed be.
Hello, sisters and brothers. I want to scry. I scry with my little eye. I'd like you to get a piece of paper and a pen because I want you to play with me, not just watch. This is an interactive thing. You're going to be divining with my beautiful clear quartz ball here, or if you have a translucent ball. So if you have a clear quartz, an amethyst ball, rose quartz is a little more opaque. Opaque meaning you can't see through. So just for a tip for scrying with crystals, to be able to divine with crystals, opaque ones are harder. Here's an emerald ball. You can still scry here. Okay, so emerald may work for you. Obsidian is a little harder, but you could scry. So if you have a ball, go get it. Hopefully you have a candle lit. So that's the other part of scrying. To set your space up, you'll need a pen, paper, a candle, and a crystal, a real crystal ball. Okay, so the ones that are glass, you can see through. It's hard to tell your fortune, really, for real, in that. We're looking in the striations. And scrying, what's scrying is to see. And right now is the best time for scrying. It's the best time to see because the veils are thin. And it's a time of divining. And so we have as clear as you can. If you can read the striations, what I was going to say is scrying. You can scry. You have scried before. I'm sure you've scried when you're like around the fire, and then in the fire you can sort of see a shape of something. Oh, I see a dragon. Or maybe you're watching the clouds float by, and I see a hare. Or, you know, you're in the water, near the water, and in the waves. Oh, I see a sow, right? So we're going to scry with crystals. Okay, so we're going to just make a little bit of time for scrying. So you've got your space. Your main thing is you've got a piece of paper, pen, okay? And if you have a crystal ball, you can join in, but you can use mine, this nice big baby. Okay, so let's warm our hands. Let's get our eyes ready. Okay, so we want to be able to relax our eyes and come into our seeing state. So warming your hands. If they're cold, give a little clap. Good. Now palming your eyes, cup over your eyes. Your eyes are closed, coming from that darkness, yes. So you're going to open your eyes and circle to the right. Circling around the cauldron, circle your eyes. Now eye exercises are really good for promoting good eye health. Good. And now relax your eyes. Close your eyes. Warm your palms again. Okay, so we know we were circling to the right. So next time we're going to circle to the left. Good. Palming your eyes here. Your eyes are closed. Now open your eyes and circle to the left. Good. Getting your eyes ready to see beyond the veils. Maybe your ancestors will speak to you. Good. Close your eyes, palms. Warm the hands. Good. Go back to your eyes. Up and down. Up and down. Open your eyes. Up and down. Now side to side. Ooh. Good. Opening up to the other realms to see beyond. Good. Close your eyes. Good. Your eyes are ready. Okay, so bring your palms. Ready? So when you're going to slowly, slowly open your eyes, you're going to gaze into the screen, to the ball, and your eyes can be squinted or soft. And the first thing you see, you're just going to write down. The mind's not allowed right here. We'll make sense of it a bit. First thing you see, a symbol, whatever it is, you're going to write down. And I'm going to move the ball a little bit. Good. Open your eyes wide. See if you can see something different. Squint them softly. Notice what you see. The first thing I saw was a hang glider. So I'm going to write that down. Good. Keep squinting. And I'll move it around. See if you can see something else. I'm going to move the light just for on screen. Good. Notice if you see anything. Let it talk to you. I even see a little happy face, 2 eyes and a little happy face. Good. I'm going to move it around. Just jot down what you're seeing, whatever it is. Ooh, I see a witch on a broom. What do you see? See, it's right up here. Notice what you see. Ooh, I see an owl. I see a goddess. A crone goddess. Good. Writing it down, whatever it is. Keep writing down. Don't let the mind, don't worry about what it is at this time. Just writing down what you see. Ooh, a dragon. Good. One more time. We'll just do 30 seconds left. Just asking the goddess to bring you messages through this beautiful crystal ball. Ooh, I see like a jaguar. Good. So then you can go on and on if you want. You want to keep your mind out of it. But here we have a few things that we've jotted down. I couldn't find my pen, so I'm going to go by memory. But the first thing I saw was a hang glider. So next to hang glider, I'm just going to go, what does that represent to me? And to me, that represents freedom and a bird's eye view, you know, able to see it all. So, you know, for me to just draw back a bit and look at things that way. I think the second thing I saw, oh, yes. I saw a witch on a broom, and that just tells me about this time. And here we are together. And I saw a jaguar, and the jaguar to me is magic, means magic, Mayan magic in particular. And I saw a diamond shape, which just means to shine on, and that even to me, you know, those harder times to just move through under the pressure of the diamond. So you're just going to jot down what yours means to you. Sort of, you saw this, and that equals, what does that mean to you? What is that symbol? And you saw that, and what does that mean to you? What does that symbolize? Oh, I saw the owl, wisdom. So just take that time for yourself to know your own meaning, to receive your own symbolization. And then you would just read your fortune, your real present fortune right here, right now, on that right side. So I hope that that will help you receive your messages from spirit, from light, from the crystals. I did see the goddess in there, and so I know that she's with us. Thank you so much, the crone. Thank you for showing yourself. Blessed be.
Hello everyone. This is the dark time of the year, and the dark time of the year is the time to curl up on the sofa with the fire and tell stories. Nowadays we do it with films, but in the past we'd all share. So I just want to share a short story with you. I hope you enjoy it, and I'm calling it Samhain in Suburbia. You start by imagining a woman with a lantern and a cloak, and she's walking with deliberation. It doesn't seem like she's making any progress. 1 minute she's walking one way, then she's going the other way. Sometimes she's coming closer, sometimes she's going further. But seen from above, you'd realise she's walking a labyrinth. She finally reaches the centre and lights another lantern that's on a large stone already set up. And out of her pockets, she produces apples and a knife, which she cuts through the centre, showing the pentagrams, and places 3 halves around the lantern and eats the third. And then she calls out to Cerridwen, calling on our dark mother to join with her while she honours her ancestors. And she says how much she honours them and how she forgives them for anything that they had done. And she understands that they had to survive, and that if they hadn't survived, she wouldn't be here. She thanks them for the gift of her life. She thanks them for their DNA and the wisdom that they've sent along the line for her to remember. She takes a moment and then starts to walk back round the labyrinth, leaving the lantern burning on the rock. She goes back into the house, puts the lantern she's carrying on the windowsill, changes out of her cloak and puts on a coat, grabs a pre-packed bag and exits the front door, shutting it behind her, and walks just a few doors down the road and knocks on another door. A lady opens the door. She's an elderly lady, and behind her she can see that there's a table laid out with plates and knives and forks and various cake stands. "Come in," says Rose, the lady whose house it is. "Do you think anybody will actually come? Will it just be us two?" The younger woman says, "Don't worry, I've made chocolate cake. We'll be fine." And they settle in and start chatting quite companionably. "Do you think this is a good idea? Do you really think people will come?" But with that, there's a knock on the door, and 2 other women from the neighbourhood come in, followed very quickly by a man who announces he's brought rhubarb crumble with cream because he's never managed to get the handle on custard, and he doesn't think the stuff in the cartons tastes so good. Everybody agrees with him. And now the spread is complete. There's chocolate cake, there's scones, there's a big Victoria sponge, and there's various angel cakes, and obviously the rhubarb crumble and the cream. "Before we start to eat," says the young woman, "we'll start with the candles." And out of her bag, she produces jars, empty jars with candles. And she asks the people present to light the candle in the jar and name their honoured dead. There's a bit of shuffling, but they all actually do it. And she then lines them up on the windowsill and says, "Well, now we talk about them and we eat cake and hopefully we'll laugh." And that's what they do. It starts off a bit stilted, but very quickly they're talking about the war and things that they did in their past. They talk about the people they loved and the special memories they have. And Rose, whose house it is, talks of her tales of her husband and how he used to leave her little notes telling her how much he loved her and how she kept them all in a box. And she had actually been looking at them the other day, and then they'd gone back in the wardrobe. But she always said, "If ever I get down, I always look at them because it was nice to know how much I was loved." The evening passes very, very quickly. And before they know it, it's the allotted time to go home. And they all seem a bit hesitant, and they help to clear up. All of them crammed into the small kitchen with Rose directing people where things go and everybody else putting their own plates into their own bags. And it's all going really, really well. And they actually find that they get on quite well. And these are people that haven't really spoken to each other that much in years. Finally, they're all ready to go home. Rose holds the door open and says goodbye to them, and they all say that they must do something like this again as they move off into the night. The young girl kisses her on the cheek and said, "I told you it'd be a good evening." And Rose smiles and shuts the door behind her, locking it as she always did. She turns around and goes back into the front room. And then she notices a bit of paper on the floor. She picks it up and opens it, and it's one of the notes from her husband, saying that he's the luckiest man alive and he will love her for all eternity. She grasps it in her hand as she holds it to her heart and smiles. Perhaps there is magic on this night after all. Blessed be.
Please join me tonight on a short journey on this dark moon evening in this Samhain time. But before we set off, please take a moment to relax and make yourself comfortable. Remember that you're grounded and centred. Draw on the wonderful peace and connection that my sister Sarah brought to us earlier on. You may wish to close your eyes. Do whatever is comfortable for you. But as you relax, just notice your breathing. Allow it to become deeper, gentler, and slower. Just take a few moments to focus on your breathing as you get ready to set off on your journey. It's dark and cool outside. It's that wonderful velvety blackness which is comforting and mysterious at the same time. There's little light because the moon is dark, but you know that she's up there, watching over the world. You're walking along the edge of a wood. It's full of tall pine trees. You can hear the branches and fronds gently swaying and whispering in the cool of the night. You're looking for a pathway into the woods that you know is there. As you walk along and you listen to the secrets of the trees. So you come to the place where the path starts and you turn towards it. And you notice that the tree branches seem to reach out and welcome you. They're sort of putting their arms around you and pointing the way ahead through the blackness. So you set off on the path through the trees. It winds and it twists a little. And as you're walking forward, you're aware that everything just feels slightly different. Things have shifted. You can see up ahead a strange lightness. You can still see the trees around you and you can smell the wintry green pine scent, but you sense that you're moving towards a different time, a different place. As you walk further along the path, you can see that the trees are starting to thin out and you're nearly at the edge of the wood, where you can see that the path continues onto open ground. You step out of the woods and you can see that that lightness that you saw from inside the forest, it comes from a silvery mist which is swirling and moving gently in all directions. As you continue to move forward, you can feel the mist parting to let you through, and it's wrapping around you in this cool silver light at the same time. And with every step forward, you can feel the air around you changing and the energy is shifting. Just notice how that feels for you. Does it crackle? Does it sparkle? Does it shine? What does it do? Just notice how it feels. And you realise that what you're doing is you're passing through the thinning of the veil that every Samhain brings. You can feel the potential around you and in front of you, and you can see through these swirling mists a new kind of light that's up ahead and a wider open space. You've come through the mists and you're standing on the shores of a beautiful lake. And even though it's the dark moon, you can see the water shining. You continue to move closer. And you can see that this light comes from a warm, glowing fire. And there's a cloaked figure sitting next to it. And she beckons you to come closer still. And as you move towards her, you see that it's Cerridwen. Cerridwen, the initiatrix, the Dark Mother, the Mistress of Magic. And she's inviting you to sit beside her fire with her on this dark moon night. She motions for you to come close to her, and the hood of her cloak shifts a little bit, and you can see her face, and it's warm and it's gold in the light of the fire. It's beautiful. Again, notice how that looks for you. How do you see her? Just sit with that for a moment. She asks you about your journey as she stirs the black cauldron that's sitting over the fire. You can see that this cauldron is studded with pearls all around its rim, and there's this faint golden steam that's rising very gently above it. She asks you to look inside the cauldron. You can see that tonight there is a magical brew inside it, but it's just gently swirling despite the very hot fire beneath it. There's no bubbling or boiling or steaming tonight. You see that next to her, she's got a pile of dried leaves. And as she talks with you, you see that every so often she places leaves into the fire or into the cauldron. Samhain is the witch's new year, she reminds you. It's a time for stillness, a time for reflection. And on the dark moon, for thinking of new beginnings and of things to let go when they're holding you back. So she hands you some of these leaves and she asks you to rest for a moment and think. When you think of something that you want to let go, she says, then put that into one of the leaves and put it into my fire. The fire will take it. It need trouble you no more if you're truly content to cast it aside. And when you think of something that you want to nurture and grow over the coming year, then put that into one of the leaves and put it into my cauldron. I will continue to stir my brew and your leaves with it. And working together over this coming year, we can bring it to fruition if you're truly content to do so. So just take some time to think about your leaves, the ones that you will cast into the fire and the ones that you'll share with Cerridwen as she brews in her cauldron. What will you put into the leaves that will be burned in the fire? And what would you like to see brewed and nurtured into life in the cauldron? You feel a gentle touch on your hand and you turn to see Cerridwen smiling at you. She tells you that it's time to go, but she does have a gift for you. She takes your hand and she puts something into it. You open your hand and you see this as one of the pearls of wisdom from the rim of the cauldron, still warm from the fire. She tells you that this pearl of wisdom is yours to take back with you. And that as you think about your time with her tonight, the things that you've let go and the things that you want to grow, you'll come to know what it is. So she bids you goodbye and she gently turns you back towards the path, where the mists are still swirling, waiting for you to make your way back again. So follow the path back the way you came, through the gentle mists. Feel the coolness and the power of connection at this Samhain time. Find your way back through the trees, guided by the branches, and with one last scent of that wonderful winter pine fragrance. Take a moment to rest and relax. Remember to keep breathing, and whenever you're ready, please open your eyes. Thank you for joining us on this journey to meet Cerridwen on this dark moon night. Blessed.
Now I have the good pleasure to share with you one of my Italian poems for this time of Samhain. And this poem, I call it Il canto della discesa. That means the chant of descent. It's a poem about death and rebirth in Cerridwen womb, and the promise that we will grow into her cauldron like the strongest of the seeds. So I hope you like it. Siamo al tempo in cui il tempo non esiste. Samhain è giunto. L'oscurità vince sulla luce e tutto vive su di un filo di seta sul baratro della notte. Le nostre sicurezze vacillano, il cuore si incupisce e la terra stessa ha un tremito sotto la nera verga della crona che ritira i suoi doni, lasciando freddo e buio. Ma dal fondo del buio la vita germoglia. Nel silenzio e nel vuoto si mettono in atto i più grandi cambiamenti che smuovono l'universo intero. Giunto è il tempo della trasformazione. Il grembo della Madre Oscura ci accoglie per la morte rituale nel suo immenso calderone. E così, purificati da ogni catena, avanziamo sicuri nella notte, percorrendo il sentiero che ella stessa ha tracciato per noi. Ed ogni lacrima, ogni sacrificio ed ogni perdita non saranno vani, poiché in questa notte, in questo sacro tempo della discesa, come stelle, come fiori, come rocce, noi rinasciamo. Thank you for listening me. I hope you like it. Thank you and blessed be.
And please join me for Our Lady's Prayer. And if you want to stand up, it's always nice to do it together. Good. So, Cerridwen, awaken our dark, bright spirits in us. Lady, open and expand our vision of a noon. 3 breaths. Lady, be in our breath, our words, and all our actions in service to you today. Lady, fill our hearts with your love. Lady, heal our disease. Cerridwen, bless our cauldrons of creativity and bless our fertility of body, mind, and spirit, and ground us in your love. Cerridwen, awaken your dark, bright spirits in us. Lady, open and expand your vision of a noon. Lady, be in our breath, our words, our actions, in service to you today. Lady, fill our hearts with your love. Lady, heal our disease. Cerridwen, bless our cauldrons of creativity and bless our fertility of body, mind, and spirit, grounding us in your love. Cerridwen, awaken your dark, bright spirit in us. Lady, open and expand your vision of a noon. Lady, be in our breath, our words, and all our actions in service to you today. Lady, fill our hearts with your love. Lady, heal our disease. Cerridwen, bless our cauldrons of creativity and bless our fertility of body, mind, and spirit, grounding us in your love. Blessed be.
I invite you to join with me in singing the Arwen. And for those of you who perhaps haven't done this before, it's toned rather than sung. And it is in 3 syllables in R, U, N. You're going to take a deep breath. I'm going to do this 3 times. Let it be.
Hello, and I thank you all for joining our sisters and priestesses today in this dark moon ritual. You all our sisters who have given us such beautiful gifts, have honoured our ancestors, have given us the power of divination to see what may be, and to bring us some joy as we go into these dark times, this time of contemplation, but still celebration. So we thank you, sisters, for this. And we also thank you to everybody who has been here, and for the energy, for all the love that you have brought to in this season for Cerridwen, the Cauldron, this season of Samhain, and for the connection to the people that have passed. Please join us in the next dark moon ritual, which will be confirmed soon, and there'll be many blessings. Blessed be.
Powers of the earth, we thank you for your presence and protection. Powers of the water, we thank you for your presence and protection. Powers of the fire, we thank you for your presence and protection. Powers of the air, we thank you for your presence and your protection. May the circle be open yet forever unbroken. May the love of the goddess speak forever in your hearts. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. May the circle be open yet forever unbroken. May the love of the goddess be forever in your hearts. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. May the circle be open yet forever unbroken. May the love of the goddess be forever in your hearts. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Blessed be.
Thank you, Blessed Samhain.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
You're all fantastically.
Bye.
Happy cheers.
Thank you.
Happy cheers.
Thank you very much. Blessed
Thank
Samhain.
Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.